Officials tell me today that it's likely going to be 5 to 7 years before life returns to what it was before the flooding. And it is a very intensive, laboring process. This is the Buckhorn School. It is deserted, obviously. This is a school that has not been used this entire school year because the floodwaters destroyed nearly everything inside the school. Travel trailers are still home to some. Some debris still sits in and around creeks 9 months after the flood, but there is progress. There are new bridges and new homes. Buckhorn School appears as if nothing has been done for months, but school leaders say a lot is being done, mostly in planning for a renovation that is going to cost in the millions of dollars.
You asked me if I'm surprised about what the overall cost is going to be. Probably not, because I thought it was going to be a complete teardown.
Bids on the renovation work will be received next month. Construction will likely take months. It's estimated students may be back in the building by early 2024. There are still a lot of people that are not able to move back into the homes that they had before the flooding. There are some people still living in temporary housing. Officials tell me there's still about a dozen or so living in travel trailers at the Perry County Park. That is also the case in some other counties. We spoke to some people that say that they are still trying to get their homes restored. In Perry County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.